Growing up in my family, we moved a lot. Every couple of years until I was in the fifth or sixth grade. Um, and I never really got attached to any place. Um, I, I did enjoy living in the place we moved to on 30 acres outside of Austin when I was probably 10, 11 years old. And I will say that by the time I was 19, I was ready to leave. Um, it was a good place to grow up, but I don't remember having a nostalgia about that place. And then I went on to move every year when I was in college and moving from apartment to apartment in Austin and then living in LA, San Francisco, New York, and other places, always moving. In my 50s, though, we moved to France and we bought an old house that was in dire straits and needed everything done to it. And we lived there for over 20 years and turned it into something beautiful. It became a real home. We were in a village of 150 people, and that was a learning curve. Um, I already spoke French because I had lived with French girlfriend and French friends for in my 20s and 30s. And I felt comfortable in the culture. I definitely felt comfortable in the countryside because we were surrounded by fields and forests and mountains. And the nature was prodigious. The life was simple. We were very creative. We worked on the house the whole 20 years we were there. I painted. I had an extensive library and read a lot. I wrote. I was physically active. The French food and wine was what you imagine it to be. It was home. It became home. And then an inheritance that I expected to get was stolen. It was stolen by my brother. What a surprise. And I I have to admit that I resisted feeling the deprivation, the outrage, the violation of that experience. And I definitely didn't want to feel the grief and the loss that you would naturally feel to losing your home. And we pulled a lot of things out of the house and put them in storage. All the books, all the paintings, all the kitchen equipment, enough furniture to get started again. Tools. I'd really gotten into using tools in the construction that needed to happen in the house. And it all went into storage for over 10 years. And in the end, I didn't make the money that I hoped to make to be able to go back and buy another house. And I eventually lost everything. Now, that wasn't just a financial occurrence, it was an emotional experience. And all the grief that I had not wanted to feel, that I had resisted, showed up. But it wasn't as bad as I expected. Yes, there is a sense of having lost a beautiful part of my life and a lot of things I created out of a great deal of effort. And yet, I admit, I had been carrying a burden for that whole 10 or 12 years, and it was suddenly taken off. What they will do with that stuff, I have no idea. It may go into a it, landfill. It may um, go into some kind of auction where they try to sell it. I don't think they'll get very much, but who knows? Um, the experience of loss that I had resisted for such a long time turned out not to be what I imagined it to be. It turned out to be a healing experience, just letting everything go. I realize that at my age, this is my next big project, letting things go, letting my past go, letting my identity go, letting my body go, letting everything go. It's all going to go. It's inevitable. I hate to see it to some extent. There is some grieving, but at the same time, there's a kind of lightness that comes into your being. I think it has to do with not supporting, not working so hard to keep an identity that you can just let go of it and be much more simple about who you are and not have this constant effort to maintain an idea of yourself that really has nothing to do with you anymore. I'm not that person I'm 85 now, and I was 55 when we went there. And yeah, it's like the difference between 55 and 25. I am someone who has gone through a whole lifespan. And in that lifespan, there may be a thread of, of something I could identify as who I am, but it's not what I own. It's not what other people would look at and say, that's who he is. I'm actually something else. I'm not even sure what it is. It's basically a human spirit that keeps growing, that keeps changing. And we hope that keeps learning. That is the essential thing. And maybe it never stops. We actually may not be limited to our present identity and culture and language and physical circumstance, we may actually be much larger than that. Something to think about.